Hi, and welcome back to the next section of React Native projects where we're going to work on the BeBriefed app. Our next project is going to build on the basics that we've learned and will teach us how to pull in libraries from the React open source ecosystem and how to pull in data from remote sources like external APIs and more. We'll also look at a different app navigation structure, so we're going to be introducing tabs. We'll accomplish this by creating what could be a server status monitoring application. You might want to build something like this for customers if you ran lots of their servers, or perhaps for your own internal IT department. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Great. So in this video, we're going to be starting our new BeBriefed app. And to do that, we're going to start by looking at what the final application is going to turn out like. And we're going to start up another new project in React Native. We're also going to apply dry programming principles to our project to reduce the amount of repeated code that we might have in our original index files. And if you remember, this project is going to be focused on a monitoring app that might be used for customers that have a lot of servers that you need to monitor for them, or for an internal IT department, for example. We'll take it from the vantage point of making an internal app for IT, one that is intended to monitor the status of a web server, a database server, and a mail server. Here's what it'll look like when we're finished. We'll call it the BeBriefed app, since we always want people to be briefed on the current status of our servers, and you can see it shows us that status that switches, and we can flip between different tabs and see which tabs are up and which ones are down, and it changes. Let's get started with a new project just as we've done before by initializing a project at the command line. So in my code folder, I'm going to run React Native init, and then we're calling it BeBriefed. Switch into the code folder and edit. As we start this new app, we want to keep cross-platform content at the top of our mind. And part of that is minimizing the code that we have in our different index.js files. So first step then is to create a main component to immediately display and contain the rest of our app's UI. So let's follow a similar pattern as we have in our last application and create a new folder called components. And inside of components, let's create this new container file. We'll call it maincontainer.js. I'm going to fill it with our standard React Native component boilerplate. And then inside of our return statement, for now, let's just put in a simple text label in the center of our screen. Now with our main container built, we can go back in and remove the majority of the code inside of our index files. So starting with index.ios.js, let's take out all of the code in the return statement and import our new main container. Place it right here as the only component that we're going to be spitting out. And then we can get rid of a lot of extraneous code here. And save. We're going to do the same for android.js. And save. Now the benefit to this is that if we need to change any of the high-level attributes inside of our individual index files, we have less code to touch. We're being more dry, don't repeat yourself. Now from this point on, I'm going to be working inside of the index.ios.js file for any changes that need to happen. But just keep in mind that if you're working primarily on Android, you're going to be wanting to work in your index.android.js file. Now just for a sanity check, let's run the app in whichever simulator or emulator you are currently using to make sure that we're good. And that's exactly what we would expect. Not a lot there, but let's fill it in. In the next video, we're going to start building our app out by pulling in some third-party libraries.